Welcome to Elissa Goodman Show. Every week, I have the honor of interviewing game changers in the wellness arena. And today, I have a very special friend of mine. Her name is Elise Museles. She's a certified eating psychologist and holistic health. She knows everything about food there is to know. She just started a podcast that everybody has to listen to. It is called The Food Story.
Once Upon a Food
Once
Story.
Upon a Food Story. Okay. Welcome, Elise.
Thanks for
Sorry
having
for getting
me,
that
Elissa.
wrong.
That is okay, but you got the food story part,
Yes.
which is important.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be here.
I am so happy to have you. She does not live here, so to get you here was such a feat from Washington, D.C. So I've been asking forever. And
I know,
when
I'm glad the
plop
day is
into
here.
town, you know, it's all about family and you're busy. So I'm honored to have you here today.
Well, it's always nice to be with you.
So, you know, our story is so remarkable because, in a nutshell, our kids were friends at camp and had a little bit of a love affair.
Right. The crushes on one another
Right.
at the age of 9, I think.
Exactly, and they still talk about each other. And they both came home to us saying, you should meet Elise. He came home and said, you should meet Elissa. And then we ended up just serendipity meeting in a doctor's office.
Which is so crazy.
It is.
It is really, really
And we
crazy.
were on the same couch together, and I think the energy between the two of us, we already knew before we were introduced or we came
Right.
up with each other's name that we needed to talk.
Exactly. Like I saw it, I'm like, I have to meet this woman. It was
Right.
so weird, but I know. And I also, when Daniel, my son, said to me, you have to meet Elissa, I was like, you know, I think I do. I was very intrigued, and it was before we could stalk one another.
I know.
Really.
True.
It was over 10 years ago. So
I know.
since then, we've just always, even though we're on opposite coasts, it's
Right.
been so nice to have you as a sounding board and really just a huge grounding friendship in my life.
Same. And the idea that we got into the business together really, you know, has been so fabulous because we've just supported and learned from each other. And I want my audience to know all about what you do because I haven't really interviewed anybody that does what you do.
Oh, wow.
No, I know the eating
Always a first,
psychology
yeah.
and yes, you know, the history with food over the years. So I love it. Can you tell about your story?
Sure, my story?
Yes,
I'll start with
how
that?
you-
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's I know the show is usually about 20 minutes, so I'll give a abridged version of my story.
Right.
So I grew up here in California and always was very passionate, and passion really, there's a very fine line between passion and obsession, you know, with
Yes.
food. And I was just always drawn to learning more about feeling better. Unfortunately, at that time, it was always about being skinny, you know.
Exactly.
So
It's true.
I went on to practice law. You know, my dad's a lawyer, you know, and I just that's what I thought I should do. But I was always passionate about following, you know, wanting to have a career in health and nutrition. And I just naturally advised people, you know, and I just talked about it and thought about it all the time. And so in 2008, when I met you and we were living here, I just said that, you know, when you move away from your everyday routine, it's a really opportune time to analyze what's going on. I said, I have to do this.
Right.
And in doing it, not only did I started out and thought it was always about the food, but then I slowly realized that it's not just about the food. And for me, you know, it was a lot about mindset. So I was still eating all the healthy food all the time, but I was beating myself up over every bite, worried, am I doing the right thing, calling myself the good and the bad and all the things we tell people not to do.
Right.
And really on the outside, I might have looked like I had it all together, but on the inside, I didn't.
Yeah.
And so when I realized how much mindset makes a difference in our health, and you know, just back then it wasn't as talked about as
No,
much.
it
You know,
wasn't.
It was
That's-
always about what you eat, what's on your plate.
Right.
So then when I got certified in eating psychology, it just really helped me to realize I can't do this to myself anymore. I can't pass on this story to my children.
Right.
You know, that I can't sit at
Were
the
you doing
table.
that? Were you kind of doing that with the family?
You know,
Were you pushing
I think
your-
that pregnancy was really one. I say that we all have these defining moments
Yeah.
in our stories. So one was I met my husband. I don't think I've ever told you this. He was my boyfriend at the time.
Right.
And we were together for a long time while I was in law school. He was already practicing
Right.
law. And we broke up. And we broke up because he said, I can't do this anymore.
In terms of
watch me stress about
the
whether
food?
to get steamed broccoli or, whatever it was. Like
right.
the really
You were
rigid,
really picky and rigid.
It's not
and
a picky thing. I think it was more about rigidity.
Okay.
And control. And so he just didn't want any part of it. So we broke up and I went back to LA. And, that's when the first really defining moment in my food story.
Yeah.
And then the next one, while I was still practicing law, was getting pregnant. You have to learn to go with the flow. And for a rigid person, that was just a huge shift for me to be able to accept my body, to listen to cravings. I was actually
and to give in to them and
to resist and give in, and then to give in and feel so much better. I was actually vegan at the time, and I craved turkey. Can you imagine being like this type A rigid behavior and then saying, oh my gosh, wait, what do I do? Like my body is screaming for turkey. And like, I don't eat turkey. So it was
What did you do? Did you sneak a piece of turkey?
No sneaking.
No?
I had to have that talk with myself.
So you
really
stayed true to
and
your
I
beliefs.
was like, this was another defining moment. Like my body's talking. And I've got to listen. And this is, again, before people were really talking about listening to your body, and it was such a common thing.
Right.
And so, of course, it was like organic and grass, like whatever are the cleanest, purest. I'm like, okay, go get me turkey. I couldn't even go get it, And, that's what I don't eat it now because my body doesn't crave it now, but I did then. And I think it's like for all of us, when we think about our story and our relationship with food, to be able to be flexible, to be able to change with hormones and the seasons and things like pregnancy, is really such an important part not
Right,
so
and those cravings are telling you something, right? At some point. I mean, they really are, and to not really listen to them is not listening to ourselves and our intuition.
Right, exactly. So that was a huge shift. And then, the last part was when I did actually realize that I was working with all these incredible women, mostly women, and they were so smart and accomplished in so much of their lives. But there was something like where they knew what to do and they couldn't bridge that gap between knowing and doing. And that's when I said, okay, I need to go deeper with people. And I got certified in eating psychology, really took a step back and looked at my own mindset and realized like my eating perfectionism was creating a stress response in my system. And when I started to understand that, like, it didn't matter how healthy I was eating, that I was actually having this whole cascade, what happens with your cortisol.
Exactly.
And all of that.
So were you having health issues even though you were eating healthy? Was there that combo happening?
I think I wasn't as vibrant as I could
or
have
energized, and
been.
you thought.
Energized, or just, I was probably on like chronic low level of stress from all of my rigidity and the whole mindset. And so that was just a huge wake-up call that like I was actually impacting my metabolism, my digestion, everything, all by toxic thoughts. And that's when I knew that I wanted to help people with not just what they were eating, but how they were thinking. And that's like the heart of my work.
And that is so important. I mean, I know with my work too, it's about that with the health issues. So it's what we're telling ourselves and beating ourselves up over many different things, not just food, but other things that have happened in our life. So, but what is the biggest thing you see with the women that you do consult and help? What is there a common theme amongst them?
It's interesting because there's, even if someone might have a story of deprivation or someone else is more like overindulges or whatever. I still think that the common thing that brings so many of us together is stress, like just not being relaxed around food, being stressed, wondering whether you're doing the right thing, even if it might not even be about weight anymore, just like for health. I've seen that pendulum, and you probably could weigh in, where people are now talking about being healthy as opposed to just getting skinny or whatever that might be. So but it's just that constant stress and confusion and anxiety. And there's also sometimes a little bit of shame tied into it. Why am I'm so smart, I can accomplish this, or
why can't I overcome this?
I just get my eating and my habits on track.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Do you see that
So,
too?
yeah, I do. Because, a lot of people that are into health and really want to get to the next level are really usually someone that's educated and is really interested in having the best life that they can live. And they do educate themselves on many different, topics.
Right.
So, and they're motivated. Right.
They're inspired, but they're still not confident. They don't know. And a lot of people have lost that connection to their own intuition.
Yeah.
We lose it when we're young, we're told to clean our plate. Were you told to clean your plate?
Absolutely. That's a very good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're cleaning
no matter
your plate,
what it was, how much food was on there, it was like, you can't leave the table.
Right. I mean, I was like the starving children in China, my husband too. It's not just like, women. He's the same way. He finishes all his food, and it's not but he just grew up like that.
Yeah.
And his parents said, don't waste, right?
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately now we believe in leftovers and all of that, but we lose that connection to our body at a really young age.
So we don't know when we're full. We just don't connect when we're full and we're done.
Right. Or the media tells us that we should be doing certain things.
Yeah.
Or we see what an influencer is doing on Instagram and think we should be doing that. And so all of that takes us outside of our body, right? And we lose that connection.
Yeah.
And so the biggest way to help people is to find ways to connect back and start to trust yourself, because really at the end of the day, you're like my supplement guru, right? And I will listen to everything you say, but I'm the only one. You might say something that's amazing and so filled with health benefits, but it doesn't work
for you. Absolutely.
So
how do you get people to tune back in?
It is definitely a practice. It is something that just doesn't come easily. But the first step for everyone is actually slowing down. We're so busy, we're multitasking. Really, how can you tell whether a food agrees with you, whether you're full, whether you're actually enjoying your food? When you're, in your mind, on your phone and doing all the other things. So I really start with just being more present.
So what that means, like when you have a meal, you're not having electronic devices around, maybe just eating the food and enjoying it and really valuing what you have in front of you instead of being distracted.
Yeah. I mean, are you even like, if you're alone in the middle of the day, right? Just work, you're like, oh, I'll just get through a couple emails.
Totally.
Right? But then you're like, wait, did I just eat that?
And you eat the whole bowl.
Right, the whole bowl. Even if it's healthy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like our bodies deserve more respect than that. So I started plugging my phone in, just baby steps, plugging my phone in and charging it during that time. Upside down, sound off.
I assume you have no phones at dinner.
No phones
Probably,
at dinner.
right.
Well, sometimes we got to get the photo. But no, I try really hard. It's just a small thing. I'm so guilty of being on my phone all the time because we're working. But, it definitely takes us outside of what's going on and being connected to ourselves.
So do you have any rituals of for people before the meal to kind of really exhale, chill out?
Right. You just said that. I think that, as simple as it sounds, breathing.
Yeah.
It's like we don't realize the impact of our breath.
Yeah.
But right now, my dad just had lung surgery, and he's lost that ability to take those deep breaths. And I can see that he's more stressed. And, I realize our breath, each breath is a gift, right?
Yeah.
And being able to just, you feel instantly. You could
relaxed.
feel it. It just helps you step back, and it creates that barrier between the stress and the chaos of the day, and helps connect you back to your body. That's the biggest, easiest, and people like easy takeaways. Right. Because they're like, I can do that, instead of some long, complicated journal, this and that. Just take a deep breath. Where are you? Notice the food in front of you. I do this really amazing chocolate meditation. You've probably heard me talk about it.
Yeah, I heard you talk about it, but what can you say what that is?
Okay, so it's
sounded really
it is amazing.
Okay,
and the reason that I love it so much is because chocolate is fun.
Yeah.
And it really just illustrates the point that when you're present,
totally brings joy to your
you turn on all your senses.
Yeah.
Everything, it just is it's a way for people to feel that, and then you bring it into the rest of your life. So you sit down with the chocolate, and then I have them close their eyes, really get centered and tune out the noise and everything else that's going on, and smell the chocolate and slowly taste the chocolate.
So you actually have a piece of chocolate in front of you? Okay. So you have the chocolate and you're smelling
We're gonna have
it.
to do it.
Love it.
Together. Yeah, and I usually do it with my energy, the bliss balls.
Yeah.
And I'll hide. I'll put a little orange zest or cinnamon or something so that they have, or cacao nibs, so that they have to notice, like, what is
What's
it?
in it.
Exactly.
So they have to notice the other things beside the chocolate.
Exactly. Just as a way.
Are they
to take it.
blindfolded too?
No blindfolded, but their eyes are closed.
Right.
And it is so powerful. And everyone who does it says, oh my gosh. Like,
That's very
I had
cool.
a guy do it in a yoga studio, and he was the only guy, and there were 60 women. And he came up to me 2 weeks later, and he said, I can still taste that chocolate.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Really?
The other
love
part
it.
of it that's really powerful is it helps you become really present. I have this one line when I say to people, okay, it's really easy to think you're almost done with your chocolate.
Yeah.
To think about that next piece.
Right.
Don't
go there.
Don't go there.
Okay.
You're here enjoying this piece.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't do that the last time I did the chocolate
Right.
meditation. 3 people came up to me afterwards and said, that was the most powerful exercise because of that, because I'm always thinking about the next one.
Right.
Can I have more?
Right.
Should I have
what
more?
it's going to be?
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
That's also interesting. I know, because we're always like way ahead of ourselves. You know, what are we going to have for dinner? And it's like,
right.
it's breakfast, right? Those are kind of things that, or, you know, planning out the day sometimes is, you know, not the greatest thing to do, right?
I know, but I think a little structure is probably good for helping, or else it's like,
right, it's a free-for-all.
Right, a free-for-all.
You don't want that, right.
Right, but there is something about just like taking a few moments when you're eating or in a yoga class. Like I am so guilty where I'm like, my to-do list is on my mind, but am I really getting the full benefit of the yoga?
Yeah,
right?
You're not present.
Right. So again, the breath, right?
Yeah. What's your typical day of eating?
Oh, God. Of eating? Oh, I never thought you were going to ask me that. Okay, well, it depends. I always eat I try to eat with the seasons, and really, and very tuned into what I don't. When it's really, really cold out, I don't have as much cold food.
Okay.
You know, I do try
a lot
to get
more warm.
a lot more warm and cooked foods.
Right.
So my typical day, you know, I do start with some sort of a juice, some sort of a liquid. So whether it's the lemon water or the green tea or some sort of an interesting tonic, or now some celery juice. Because of you. Not medical medium, but Elissa Goodman, my guru. So I will start with that. And then I really vary breakfast. I'm one of those people that will actually eat soup for breakfast.
I love that. Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I love that too. It's like a warm smoothie or a warm, you know, I think that's a beautiful thing.
When I start the day with more savory, it feels more grounding.
Yeah.
And my body really craves more grounding foods in this, this time of year.
Exactly.
In the summer, it's all the fun, you know, more like fruits and more colorful, you know, just different. You crave, it's a different energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I do something really interesting that you might want to hear. It's about, it's really like tuning in and asking myself how I want to feel, because like we're always so reactive to our food, like saying that made me tired, or I got jittery, or whatever, you know. Instead of like letting food control like our mood, we think about, do I want to feel grounded? Do I want to feel energized? Is it
That's
time
really
to
a
feel
good
calm?
tip too.
Yeah, and so then you can choose your mood, then choose
your food.
So it's about being proactive and making choices that way. You know, so you have to have a little bit of knowledge what food does for you,
and what foods calm you down, and which food,
Right. So this time of year, like sweet potatoes are very grounding for me. So I'll find myself using it as like in a bowl and adding different toppings or whatever, and some protein in there. And that's a food that is energizing and grounding at the same time.
Yeah.
And really healthy. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk forever.
Of course.
And I'd love to know more. But everybody on the show, I ask, at the end of the show, it's easy. It's easy. If you had to sum up your mission in one word.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What would it be?
One word?
One word.
Oh,
Some people have a hard time with that one word.
Yeah, the one word. I'm long-winded, as you can tell. I think empower is the word I would choose right now.
Yeah.
Empower.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Empowering people to make the right choices and to not be so rigid about their choices.
Right. Or to trust.
Trust themselves.
To empower them, to believe in themselves. We all have what we need.
We do.
You know?
Ah,
so,
loved
thank you
having
for having